goes to the scary part now. Yes.
Happy Thursday.
Happy
children.
Thursday, kids. Okay. So yeah, that's that make you nervous? I hope not.
Makes
And there you
anxious.
are, all seated.
Oh,
in
the
the
kitty liked
galaxy.
it, so there's that.
Like,
She said cool music.
yeah, that's thank you. That's that was fun. I love doing that kind of stuff because there's no boundaries. Oh, here I come to save the day. There's within what the picture's calling for, what the person's asking for. But I mean, nobody's, it's not like it has to be this fast or that fast or this key or that key. It's pretty wide open and you get to do some, it's fun. I love doing it. I really do. I love doing it. And it's a good time in musical history for me to do something that I can do from home. So anyway, man, Steve Hameroff, shout out, bro. We are live.
Yep.
See, this is me talking to you.
Sue says, I missed the Queen thing on TV.
The whole thing you missed?
Okay, Sue. It's going to be the next 3 days, and they
You got-
only played like 5 minutes on Good Morning America and
You got
the
plenty
Today
of Queen
Show.
left.
The main thing is on Saturday.
Yeah, that's when they.
Yeah.
No, I'm not even going to.
But the Queen came out on the balcony today and waved, and they had the horses, the pomp and circumstance.
Pomp and circumstance.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, who said? I gotta ask yourself this: who's the genius that came up with this? Okay, we're all gonna ride horses in this parade, and you get a drum on either side of the horse, of your horse, and you beat the crap out of it while you're riding, and we'll all be amazed if you live. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Steve Hameroff says, "Cool music." Is that Mighty Mouse?
It could be. No, it's not Mighty Mouse. It's a movie trailer that I did. But no, that's just just more of my stuff from the vault.
Oh, and Anton Jutner says that was really cool. I had to put my headphones on for that one.
Oh, and did it had to come in stereo? Did it come in stereo, Anton?
And we miss you too, Steve Hameroff.
Yes, we do, bro.
Yes, we do. You stay safe in New York, and we will stay safe. We're getting a cyclone, tropical cyclone.
No, we're not getting that.
Yeah, that's what they said.
No,
we have a
we're
warning.
not getting it.
We have a warning.
Someone else is getting it, or nobody else is
Sue
getting
says,
it, but we are not getting it.
okay, I'll miss Saturday. Record it. Put your guide on.
I mean, this is just, it's weird because she became queen the year I was born. And it's like they're right when they say all this, I take the Queen for granted, the Queen of England, you hear all the jokes, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. The longest reigning monarch in history. That's impressive. And I was there, not inside, but I went on a junkie London tour, and we...
With Leslie.
Yeah.
Wait. Now, Anton says to you, of course it did, about the headphones.
Oh, it did. Cool.
Yeah.
Because I am a stereo. I love stereo. And as it turns out, these newer shows are using a lot of synths, but not obvious hard, but cool stuff, and there's all kinds of panning because people have home theater systems now. So it's getting more and more fun to do the soundtrack part of my world.
Yes, but we have been told that Top Gun Maverick is really good in the movies.
Yeah.
Our neighbor went to see it.
And yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. People have their home
you
theaters.
having your own show over there? It's like a parrot just starts talking. What? Delicious!
Oh, Steve Hameroff said they had a crazy rainstorm. Yeah, well, we're getting a crazy rainstorm
Yeah.
too.
Well, people near us might be getting it. We're not getting it.
Anton says stereo is great.
It's absolutely. Now, okay, and we had the great debate about quadraphonic records. You can't do that. But I don't want to go there because this is about funny stuff. And when we decided to change the schedule for the summer, the Throwback Thursday was, you almost had to do it. So I found, I went back years into the archive and dug out some stories from the Floating Head. Do you remember the Floating Head? Were you there?
Yeah.
For the Floating Head?
I was here, but I wasn't talking. The
No, I know
parrot was
you were.
silent.
What?
The parrot was silent.
Yeah. So, where's Remy? Oh, okay. So,
Remy?
so I started looking at like well, you'll see.
Okay, wait now. Steve Hammeroff says Left for Dead tour recording done in London, and yes, it's in stereo and sounds good. And he says
Left for Dead tour recording done in London. No, if you're talking about the upcoming release, all of it was the United States. If you're talking about the performances, we didn't record live anywhere but here. Maybe Canada, but no England. All the studio stuff is from England. I mean, it's like what a dream it was to be able to wake up in this ridiculous home in your own suite, not your own room, your own suite, your own big television, dresser, heated towel racks, a bidet, and a toilet.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I don't know.
Yes, in John's house.
You look like you did.
Steve wants to know in John's house.
Well, I'm going to,
Yes, in John's house.
I'm going to go.
The parrot's talking.
I'm going to play some throwback stuff. So I'm going to go back to this first video, this first segment. It's funny. I had on this show. I had played a performance that we had made a deal when our first record was coming out. When we had all, when everything was going that way, we made a deal with Best Buy, and they were going to show our video. You know how you go to Best Buy whenever it was 20 years ago, would have been longer than that, 25 years ago, and they would play the loop, and it was all rock and roll, cool videos and stuff, and we were in that loop with it, and it's just a funny kind of ironic story just to get you used to the old look. This is the old, and you'll hear the old theme song in the background. This is like Throwback Thursday, so I'm throwing back. Anyway, I'll drop this on you, and then I'll explain the rest of it. But
so yes, it's the Floating Head.
Yeah,
telling stories.
I think it's the Floating Head telling stories, and this first story is about kind of wanting somebody to know who you are. Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. The listening was on the road with us and remembers this. And we would always sit underneath it. We'd get the big table, by the base or whatever it was that was hanging in there. And that's the way I felt. Oops.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. So see, we were trying really hard. We had a record deal. We had Best Buy. And let me tell you, I'll tell you just a quick story before I start jumping into prank day. John used to like to go to the Hard Rocks. Whatever town we were in, if there was a Hard Rock there, he would call the office and say, get me a table and make sure it's near my stuff. Absolutely true. I'm sure there's somebody out there listening that was on the road with us and remembers this. And we would always sit underneath it. We'd get the big table, by the base or whatever it was that was hanging in there. And that's the way I felt at Best Buy. Because we were in there shopping, and that came on the thing, and I said, oh, should I stand over underneath the monitor? Of course, there was nobody else in the store, but, that was my Hard Rock moment. Cool, though. I mean, I think they played that for 30 days. In every Best Buy. It was part of a loop, if you've been in Best Buy and you've seen the ads. And I don't know if they even still do it anymore, but it's a 49-minute high definition, no kidding, loop. It was part of pushing the record and exciting times. So listening to this, was on the road with us and remembers this. And we would always... so that's a, you can see the production values changed quite a bit. We actually have a light.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, that was when we were broadcasting out of that.
Wow. Before you had your...
Before I went to the, before I went big time. Oh, well, Steve Hammeroff. Who would understand broadcast better than you, bro?
Right.
I mean, we did some broadcasting, didn't we? So anyway, that's what you're in for tonight. But some of these stories, I was listening to them. We went, we had an appointment today, and we're sitting there waiting in the waiting room, and I'm listening to the stories, and they're making me laugh.
Yeah.
And I know them. Oh, I lived them, Dottie. But no, it's just, some of this stuff just cracks me up, and it really, well, you'll see. Was anybody watching back then? Pre-spaceship? That's when I was just broadcasting from space. I had no enclosure. I was just out there. Dangerous out there. But for you... Okay, so let's see what's next. Let's see. I gotta see what the next one is. The next one is... Oh, okay. We were talking about Corwood. Steve, this is, I guess you'll appreciate this story. This is mine and Laurie's first visit to England back in the 80s, and part of the amazing... Now, the theme of this tape was Prank Day, so this is all about pranks that get played on people, but they're just vignetted story. Vignetted?
Vignetted.
Could be.
Sounds right to me.
I know. That's why I'm worried. All right, here you go. Try this one on. So let's see. What do we have for you today? Oh, I in my pursuit of humorous. Videos. I also came across our first trip to the Cotswolds, to John's. Now, we talked about this before. I think I mentioned that when Laurie and I first came over to John's for the first time in '88, we went to Roehampton House first, and then down to Corwood, which is a big estate. And the reason I mention it is I was going through my videos, and I have videos from that time. I have videos ever since I could video anything. I had a machine and a camera, and was a documentarian, and I'm glad I was. But on this particular tape, it was the way Corwood was set up was when it was an estate like Downton Abbey type of deal. They had a hunting lodge, so when people would come to stay the night for the hunt, I showed you the thing that went off from Steve Winwood's house. When people would come, they would stay in the hunting lodge, and the hunting lodge is like this. It's like a mansion, ridiculous thing, but it's detached from the main house. It's got its own servants, its own whole thing, but it's its own place. Well, long before John ever bought the property, whoever owned it, I think it was Lord Wolfson, sold off the hunting lodge, and it became the Fosse Way, which was a pub. And it was about a mile walk. You could see it from John's house, but you had to go all the way down the driveway and then all the way down the Fosse Way. And they had turned it into a pub called the Fosse Way, and it was a B&B, and you could stay there. And the owner was Bob Johnson, nice guy, and knew John, and he was one of those kind of guys who takes a piss at you. Hey, John, whatever they did back and forth. And so this just came into my mind as I'm thinking of it. 1988, my first trip. Boy, you're on the same page with me. My first trip there. This is when I joined John's Band, the Rock, in '88. They take me down to the Fosse, and we have a meal. And the weird thing is, if you eat like pheasant or something down there, you have to watch out for the buckshot because it's in there and spitting it out on your plate. It's like, huh? Okay. So we spit out our buckshot and then head over to the bar. and there's this little horn like this. This is prank day, so this is appropriate. Little horn, little round horn like that. Little bell on the end of it. It looks like a very weird, skinny, tiny French horn wrapped around 1.5 times. Got a little mouthpiece. Little mouthpiece. And a little bell on the end. And so somebody says something, see if he can do it. I was like, see if he can do what? See if the American can do what? And John said, this thing's impossible. He said, you can't blow a note out of it. I said, I play horns over it. No, I can't get a note out of it. You can try if you want. And so the guy says, yeah, if you get a note out of it, I'll buy a round on the house. I'm thinking, oh man, I gotta do this. So I put this thing like this, a little bell, and I'll get my lips all lined up for this thing. And powder squirts out onto my forehead. And everybody laughs, and the American has been initiated. So anyway, this miserable experience that was. No. Yeah, and you know, the other part of that story is talking about Bob Johnson. Just to, you know,
he was really nice.
He was great. He owned the Foss. And talking about when the Foss was the hunting lodge for Corwood, we're talking about,
John's
you
house.
know, years before. John owned it when Lord Wolfe or whatever, you know, back in the Downton Abbey times.
Right.
So, so Bob Johnson, I don't think.
Oh, hi, Shar. Thank you.
Oh, hi. So Bob Johnson bought the. I love this. Doing soundtracks. Bob Johnson bought the Foss, and it's a B&B, a bed and breakfast, and beautiful. It's like a miniature Corwood. And so Bob can tell that Laurie and I are losing our minds. I mean, you know, we spent 2 weeks in England before the band ever got there, and it was like The Shining.
Oh, thanks, Shar. And Hammeroff is out of here. He says, good to see you guys. Stay safe.
Back at you, Steve. Be safe,
get back
though.
to work. Technical director is yelling, and you were baptized.
Go. Been there. And so Bob says, you know, I mean, we're losing our minds. We're from New York, right? We're used to, we missed a minute of something didn't happen. Well, how'd that happen? I mean, especially back then in the 80s, we were very stereotypical 80s.
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't you say?
Yes, I think so. Well,
Paint your own picture. We made it, no matter what. Here we are.
yes.
So we get.
We were not blowing powder out of a horn.
No, we were not blowing and thinking that was the funniest, you know. No. So we're pretty freaking bored.
Yeah, no,
There's
was
no
like
band
The Shining.
there. There's no rehearsals. It's
There was
just
3
John and his
television
current
channels.
last girlfriend, and us, and it's like.
And 3 TV channels.
Yeah,
And they played
BBC
the
One,
same
BBC
show.
Two, and BBC.
Played the same show over and over and over. It was like,
Oh, this morning, and here we go.
yeah. At the
And
end,
it's
John
like-
had like hundreds of channels.
Yeah, because at the end he tapped into a satellite or whatever. But so we're bored to death, and Bob Johnson says, "Hey kids, how'd you like to see the country? The whole country? No. We'll go to Bath. There's some 3,000-year-old ruins,
Roman
amazing
ruins.
stuff,
Roman.
cracking stuff." I said, "Look, let's go." So we get in his car. He's driving on the other side, which is just weird enough, but okay. Mm-hmm. And we drive for what seems like hours. And we drive, if you've ever seen an old English movie where you have no idea where they are, that's where we were.
Yeah.
It's hedgerows
It's like horses
and
that are
stuff,
going
and
past
it's
you.
like you're waiting for, pirates, or I don't know what.
Yeah, people
So-
riding horses past us, remember?
Yeah.
and that tiny.
And you're
little
driving through
streets.
water, towns with water that run through the middle of them. It's
Right.
So we finally get to wherever. He said, "How about a bit of lunch?" I said, "Yeah, get a lunch. Let's have some frickin' lunch." And he takes us to this stone, like a cottage in the middle of nowhere, which is obviously in the middle of a farm. And he says, he orders each of us an asparagus lunch. Now,
Yeah.
do I look like a vegetarian to you? No. Right? I mean, asparagus. That's
Yeah, and they had on the sign outside, asparagus lunch.
asparagus lunch.
It was a little
It
pub.
was an asparagus farm.
Yeah.
And they're growing the stuff outside. And it's like, oh, 2 for lunch, 3 for lunch. And the guy goes out and whacks the stuff off and brings it back in and puts it on the plate. They
Talk
steam
about
it up.
farm to table. This was before farm to table.
They put like a half a pound of butter on the top of it and give you this fresh brown bread, and it's like,
It was so delicious with this cracked black pepper. It was so delicious. I never had asparagus like that since.
and we were peeing green for like days.
It was really good. And that was worth the trip.
It was worth the trip.
And when he said he's going to take us to see some Roman ruins, I'm thinking, it's like
She's
buildings
thinking
and
that
stuff.
Caesar's going to be there,
No,
she's
I
going,
thought it was going to be a building at least.
a
though.
building.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be a building at least. No phone. So we drive the rest of the way to Bath from Stowe on the Wold, if you really want to do your mileage. And we finally get there. We get out of the car, and and it's a very typical touristy scene. But it's tourists from other parts of England that don't get to see the Roman ruins in Bath. They come on a holiday and they do all that kind of stuff. And so they're all walking around with their purses, very queen-like, and they're kind of just going through the place. And Laurie says, when do we get there? And I said, what do you mean, when do we get there? This is it. And, don't tell them you're from the United States.
Well.
This is just a bunch of old rocks.
It was. It was like we drove all here this way to go see some rocks. And Sue, they weren't even painted like the ones that you posted that glow in the dark.
We took her to see the new rocks. We took her over where the new rocks were. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think I actually told that story on somewhere on here, but
You're repeating a repeat?
I'm repeating. No. I think that was when I was going through. I can't remember what I even digitized today. When I'm going through this show, and it was funny because some of the stuff just made me laugh. I have to find the prank day story because that's really the one, and I think this is prank day. I'll look. Hang on. I gotta check. Oh yes. It's a prank day story. I remember when we first started. I'm very in my.
No, not like Stonehenge, Char.
What?
She said not like Stonehenge. Well, that is a bunch of old rocks too, but they were like big old rocks.
Yeah, no.
That
This
were
was
weirdly placed. This was just like.
This is
outline
3,000-year-old
of a house
Roman
or
ruins
something.
that were built. They were built over a hot spring,
Right.
and the floors were suspended on little columns so they could have heat in the winter.
Yeah,
Bunch of old rocks,
bunch of old rocks.
old water too. But, So anyway, this is.
It was in Bath.
It was in
Or Bath, as I say.
Bath. That doesn't even sound right.
Bath. We're going to Bath.
Here,
Okay.
prank day.
Prank day.
This I was trying to come up with. This was before I was talking to my friends, which is, that's just plain fun. I love that part. But this is all telling. So anyway, here, this was supposed to be prank day, and this consisted of all the pranks or some of the pranks, and that's where that horn story came from, because they played the prank on me. So before I started to reveal anything else, I wanted people to know that I was pranked as well. So. Okay, pranks. I'm going to move on to some pranks. Now, some of these pranks may have been played on people you know, by people you know, and the people who they were played on might not admit that they were played on them, but they were. And I can prove it. If you've been watching this show, I'm not showing any pictures, I'm not doing any craziness, but I want you to feel like this is good, valuable journalism here. And I tell a lot of drugs, not a lot, but I tell drug stories because that was the time. That was the time. That was the time we were living in. But it occurred to me today that every day there weren't drugs every day. In fact, there were some days where there was pitifully no drugs. Particularly one time we were playing in Westport at the Fore and Aft West. Now, I'm sure you've been to the Fore and Aft South, White Plains, North in Brewster. I think there was an East in Mount Vernon or something like that. But Westport, Fore and Aft Westport. Princess Nirvana danced there for us, the Snake Woman. Another story. But we have to go and play a set, and there's like 4.5 people there, and it's a Wednesday night, and it might have been raining, and we might have been in Georgia. No, we were in Westport. And we're in the back room in the dressing room. And the dressing room really is just, like some drywall with a frame around it, and they built a little, like a railing where you could, not a railing, but they used like whatever. They made like a bench or something, and then on top of that there was like a table that went the length, and there were a couple of mirrors stuck on sideways. A charming place to hang out before you're doing your inspired performance. So we're back there, drugless, and when you're thinking, is the guy gonna come, or is he not gonna come, or is your friend coming, or do you really not have anything? I'm just, you're going through that. It's like, now we gotta go play 3 sets for 4.5 people, and 2 of them are probably, whatever, they probably work there. So, that's okay, you put your boots on, you go out there and you play your show, but not before you find a little piece of plaster from someone who had punched their fist through the wall, a little piece of plaster on the table structure, a little piece of plaster. I have an idea. Let's chop this plaster up and just leave it there. I'm never the last one on stage. You'd have to look back at earlier shows to see who went on when. So I leave this line of plaster in the dressing room. And we walk out in the order previously described, and all of a sudden I hear and what can I say? So crusty, horrible thing falling out of his mouth, out of his nose, and it was just the best of times, the worst of times. He got plastered. You get it? He got plastered. That's the joke. He was at the show.
Yes, I guess you would have had to have been there.
Yeah. And listen, Shar, I know.
She's heard that one.
I know you've heard that one before, but it never hurts to hear it again. So let's see.
Pat says, "Oh, good. Oh. No, Laz."
Who? Laz? What?
It wasn't Laz.
Well, you can't tell who it wasn't.
I can't tell who it wasn't.
There's 3 other keyboard players that it could have been, so don't worry about that. All the.
Oh, you. She says, "Ha ha ha! Yes, I have." She's heard that one.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if what I was laughing at. Lori said to me, "What were you laughing so hard in the waiting room at?" And I was listening.
He was laughing like out loud.
Because, and I don't know whether I played it or not. I don't know whether I digitized it or not. I'm not sure because we had a crazy day today and it was tough. But this is so much fun for me. And next week I'm really going to kill you with some stuff. But anyway. One of the things that I watch, and I'm trying to do this stuff on my phone while I'm at a light. You know what I mean? It's like it works, but
I think you did good.
How what?
I think you did good. Oh.
Well, no, we did good. It's funny. I mean, it's the stories are good, but I don't know if I included the one where they pranked me, and where Alan pranked me, so I used to wear headphones. If I start telling the story, I'll move ahead. But I used to wear headphones on stage so that I could hear myself sing and not be killed by all the other music. And we'd be doing like a Moody Blues song, right, with the big harmonies. Oh, right? And I can hear like perfectly. And it was amazing. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And so we're singing, this is with Larry and the band, we're singing 4-part harmonies. Now back then, those guys didn't have, I think Dave had a good monitor. I don't know if what Larry and Mark had. Mark, there's plenty of Mark stuff. But we're singing 4-part harmony, and all of a sudden, in my headphones, which I can do nothing about, all of a sudden Alan solos Mark's mic.
No, Mark is a great guitar player.
Great guitar player.
But singing...
But he sings like something's broken! And I'm spitting, I can't, I'm choking. And Alan, it was great. He was a genius, and he was as much a part of what we did as anybody ever could have been. And but man, it was. I don't know if I included that story. There's one long clip on here, which I'll play for you next. It's this show. If I wanted to do anything with this show and with an hour of your time, I wanted you to maybe leave knowing something that you didn't know. Not necessarily about people snorting plaster off of a shelf, but about what we do in general. Until we moved down here, until we moved to Florida, and especially until we moved, well, I guess a country club when we were there. It was like, it was people from another planet. I've never lived that close to civilians before in my life. I mean, any place that we lived in the band was usually remote, no neighbors. Horse farm was 77 acres. The Hamptons house was the Hamptons house.
Thanks, Char. Woohoo!
Polish your glasses for you there, mister. I can feel that. When that green part happens, oh, wow, it's cool. Anyway, so we've never had those kind of neighbors.
No.
And when we were together, we could have been out in the middle of the street and we wouldn't have known it. So But when we moved down here, we moved into a gated community. We rented a place, waiting for the bubble to burst until we found the place that we wanted to live in. So we were there for about a year and a half, and it's all country club people. Now, if you know country club people,
they're not our kind.
They're not, my dress code is no dress code. Dress code? What is that, like a secret word for what? Dress code? Business casual?
Steve was playing golf at the country club, at a different one.
Yeah, yeah.
And nobody was on the golf course.
I'm a member at. Well, do I even want to at the Forest, right? Because after we left the country club, Colonial, and we bought this house, there's no country club here. This is not. We don't live in a gated community.
Yes, Sue. Hoity-toity.
No, man. Yeah. Well, yes. Oh, about the
Yeah, the people. She says hoity-toity.
So, anyway, and I'll tell you.
He was playing golf and he didn't have his shirt tucked in, and somebody that lived on the golf course
called in. This is during the summer.
Yes, nobody was on the golf course.
Nobody's on the golf course.
He doesn't have his shirt tucked in.
I would play like I'm playing by myself, alone.
Yep. And the golf pro comes out.
And the guy comes out on the cart and he says, Mr. Longo,
you have to tuck your shirt in.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, someone called and I said, are you kidding me?
A little too anal for us.
Wow. Now, I love the golf. I mean, I love the golf. And I played a lot during the summer. I was used to sweating, and it didn't really bother me. I used to sometimes play 2 rounds a day because I got obsessed with it. It was Xander's fault, and you can blame it on him. But but yeah, I mean, all of a sudden we're living in it. We didn't move there for the golf. We moved there because it had enough room for me to have a studio, and it was it was just the right place, the right time, right price, and so on and so forth. And I don't give a shit about golf. Then all of a sudden, boo! First one's free. Man,
yeah.
Clubs. I need clubs.
A new addiction.
Oh man, yeah, honey, I need this new driver. It's going to add 10 yards to my drive every year. So what are you hitting, about 580 now, Steve? What? What?
Is that all of the?
No, it's not all of the. I got more of the.
Okay.
You want to see more of the?
I'd like to see some more of the.
Okay. Well, you know what? How about this? Oh, enjoy the view.
Yes.
Enjoy the view.
That's right.
It's fun doing all this,
Yes. Now you remember, he is my very talented husband who also made that fascinator for Remy. The one that
shucks, Ma.
bitch stole my look with Kathy Lee.
Oh, man. I remember we actually did that for Harry's wedding.
That's right.
And it was funny.
Harry and
But,
Meghan.
we have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
We do. It's like the lunatic running the asylum.
That's what John used to say.
Yeah, well, he was right. He was right.
Yeah. Yes, Chris, that was a black flower.
Oh, yeah, black flower. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What else was in there? Garden District, Mojave Turquoise, Canal maybe, and what's the... I don't know.
But yeah, black flower was in there.
Black flower was in there a couple times, I think, and it even says.
And Chris owns one. That's
right.
And so does Tim McCullen.
That's right.
Right. And I think so does Pat Romano.
Yeah. So I mean, and there's only
Pat Romano said migration was in there.
Wow. Really?
He said migration.
Yeah. Oh right, migration, and Mojave Turquoise. Did I say that?
Pat
Marmo
owns
Viola.
two. That's right. You own two. He owns two of your shirts.
Well, I'll tell you what. And this is the thing. Just talking about the shirts because you already got them, so it's cool. But I wanted to do something totally different. I just, I was inspired by where Robert Graham took men's shirts because I was always a fashion person. I grew up, believe it or not, in a fashion family, a 7th Avenue family. It's a long story back, but I wasn't into it at all, but I loved clothes. So the bummer for me was being a drummer, you couldn't wear anything really, really cool. You couldn't wear any like sparkly suits or stuff because you're the drummer. But I managed to get my share of cool stuff, and I still have some of my stuff from Granny Takes It. I have a lot of wardrobe from back then, and so, and it was tough finding things for stage. You can always find a T-shirt, you know what I mean? And there's really nothing else for me to play in, unless I'm not going to wear a golf shirt. That would look, that's not very rock.
That would be wrong.
Yeah, it would be wrong. I wouldn't even wear a golf glove. I have to wear an operating glove. But, well, not because it's a golf glove.
I know.
It's because
it didn't
doesn't work.
The drummer gloves didn't work for you either.
No, it doesn't matter. You're not supposed to play the way I play and play how hard I play. It's not your thumb's never going to be happy about that. But No one told me. So, you know, listen, I can waffle on about these stories. As I started out a few minutes ago, if I wanted to do anything, it was kind of to pull the curtain back on our business. You know, the reason I was talking about the country club and all that she crap is I didn't realize how exclusive and how cloistered our group is. You know, when you... I guess it's like being in the mafia when you know all your friends are in the mafia. All of them have kumad. They all have wives. They all shop at Philip the Roma. You know, it's so you don't really realize how weird it is. You know, what did you do? I killed Joey last night and I got a pizza. You know, it's
great.
You don't realize how oblique that really is until you step back from it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, when we moved here, I mean, we saw it at the country club, and we saw it when we joined the Forest for that. It was only for a year because I had to play, and the frickin' greens fees around here it's like ridiculous. So, you know, I got my money's worth out of that year, and it was before they locked you in, you know, where you can't get out. So, but you know, I always wanted everybody, all my friends, to know how cool it was to do this on any level, and so that's what this is all about. And so this next edit, it's a long one, deals with just that, the rock and roll lifestyle, and it is, you know, it's only rock and roll, but I like it, right? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. What are the other ones? Long live rock and roll. Rock is dead. We're not going to go there. But
I love rock and roll.
I love rock and roll. Anyway, the reason, besides the fact that it gets inside of you and makes you feel wonderful things, is it's freaking great. It's like being paid to play pinball or go swimming. If you like those things. If you don't like those things, then it doesn't work. So this is an example of how some people see the rock and roll lifestyle, because this particular event was depicting the rock and roll lifestyle. Check it out.
Check it out.
I'm going to play you something that's about 5 or 6 minutes long, and just listen to the first part, the pitch of the whole thing, and then I'll make it make sense to you. But someone asked me, said, you know, you've played all over the place, played all over the world, have you ever played at the Playboy Mansion? Wow. Yeah. Here we go. Okay.
Life is short. Live fast. Muscle cars at the mansion. Don't miss your chance to party at the Playboy Mansion. An unforgettable experience. A time to be remembered. Stories you'll tell for the rest of your life. And tell often. A night at the Playboy Mansion will set you apart from all others. And here's your chance. MuscleCarsAtTheMansion.com. Hundreds of beautiful women, playmates, painted models, an all-inclusive party. Great food, open bar, and just so you can have it all, it looks like Mr. Hefner's going to let us drive all over his lawn again. The best of the best from the world of muscle cars and custom bikes, all displayed on the front lawn of the Playboy Mansion. This is your ticket to be there. Forget the traditional weekend in Vegas. Come to Beverly Hills, California, and start the weekend off with a party that will be talked about for years. Tour the grounds, scope out the cars, swim and have school, and party in the world-famous grotto. A true rock star experience. Don't miss your chance to party at the Playboy Mansion. Get your tickets soon. Log on to MuscleCarsAtTheMansion.com. Corporate guys looking for an unforgettable experience? A way to be remembered. A night at the Playboy Mansion will set your company.
Okay, so let me give you the 411 on the Playboy Mansion.
And in doing so, encourage future business. Step outside the box. Be remembered. Live entertainment, gourmet food, open bar, and all the eye candy you can handle. One admission price gives you a VIP pass to the Playboy Mansion. Create a memory and lay claim to some real bragging rights. Come party at the Playboy Mansion, guys. Couples? Yes. What lady doesn't like it down at house? This is a chance to party like a celebrity. Check out your bucket list. Get your
some
tickets
familiar
now.
faces but this was just, here we go. And it's all, first of all, the cars were unbelievable. Real, like, $2 million Cobras, and unbelievable. And look at the body on that one. But it's insane. And I got to see the cars during the day. There's us. And you can really see them during the day. But at night, it's like naked girls getting out of the trunk. And let me tell you something about the grotto, kids. Don't go, there's Larry. Don't go in there without some kind of spray. No offense, Hef, but wow. The humidity alone in the grotto, there's a cobra, will just, it's not nice. I mean, you have to go through there because, you know, you were a kid, you grew up seeing it, through the grotto. It's not quite as big as you would think it is, but it's just, I don't know, it was not a pleasant experience. Maybe when I was in high school or in my early 50s, it's just not, it's not the scene. So we're playing, that's us, there we are playing, and we're playing with this other band and her and them, and it was insane. There's monkeys all over the place, you know, real actual monkeys in their little cages. The grounds are incredible, just incredible. And the girls are like, and the guys, it's the people, you notice you're not seeing many couples, right? And the funny thing is, all these guys, they're sure they're going to score. I mean, I just paid, I don't know what they pay. I know what they paid us. And someone was throwing some money around. There's Hugh. There's me. Hugh and me. And her. I don't know. It was just, it was a great experience because, you know, everybody should go to the mansion once, especially if you grew up in the 60s, 70s, you know, that's like legendary stuff. But boy, does it get old quick. I mean, how much silicone can you have flashed in your face? How much of that, you know, it's, oh, that was Mark. And there's me. Oh, what's this? Oh, okay, set list. But it's an experience. And the people that put this thing on did an amazing job. The car part of it was just absolutely mind-boggling. And it was a really good time. Great food, drinks, the whole 9 yards, and like I said, beautiful cars. So if you want to have the ultimate rock star experience, which that's not it, but if you know, anyway, what can I say? I'm still watching it myself, so how bad could it be? Now let's talk to the real rock star. Now that was a joke. Let's talk to the real rock star experience. Because there's a lot of people that want to become rock stars, and the ones that become rock stars and find, and I'm not a big fan of that word, rock star, unless it's on a check. The ones that become rock stars, you know, famous musicians that really aren't built for it, those are the first ones to burn out and cave in. This kind of thing, this mansion stuff, that'll get to a young amateur every time. Just like my Asian bass player. The kid went down in flames and he wasn't anywhere near anything like this. So the point is, not everybody is built for it. You know, life on the road, it's a very, it's a trying thing. It's, and you can see I'm trying not to crack up, but it is just not for everybody. And this thing, the party like a rock star and the naked girls and all that stuff, that's really not it, man. That's not it. This is it. This is it. Show them. That's it. That's it? So where am I going now? I'm going all the way back to 1968, when we all wanted to become famous musicians. And we ran into our front of house sound man. I don't even remember how we met Alan, but we met Alan a day. Now, interesting fact about Alan, frickin' genius, bona fide, guaranteed, absolute genius. He must have heard us playing somewhere, and I'm sure there's somebody who can speak to this with some authority. It's just not me. he must have heard us play someplace and said, I can do sound for you guys. And he was actually part of a production company called, I don't want to say the name because I'm about to throw this guy under the bus big time. So yeah, that's a picture of the Brill Building right there. Now the Brill Building, in case you don't know, is where most of the early 60s, late 50s, 60s songwriting was done. That's the Brill Building was like the Nashville of New York back in the day. And that's the lobby. Gorgeous, gorgeous place. And you'll see Carole King and some other people, and these are the people that used to record there way back when it used to be a 4-track studio. And so, as it turns out, Alan is the head engineer at Warner Brothers in the Brill Building. Go figure. His partner, the one I will remain nameless, is the manager. Now, we'll call him, what can we call him? We'll call him GTO Boy. So Alan says you should really meet GTO Boy because he can really do stuff for your band and he can get you gigs that you can't get on your own, and GTO Boy is going to take you really to the top. I'm 16, that's it. It's that. It's the original band, back to Peppy and then Larry. So we meet GTO Boy, and he's wearing his frickin' leisure suit, polyester. Holy crap, what are you doing? And he starts, I can make you guys really big, really big. And he's one of these slicksters, right? He was in Harrison. And Alan lived on North Street in Harrison. My grandparents were like his neighbors, and we'd never even know it. Because they used to live on North Street in Harrison. Anyway, that's where I'm going. So GTO Boy starts bragging on this, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, and he's going to take us out Halloween night to show us one of the bands that he's booked and the type of thing that he might be able to do for us. And he's going to take us for a ride in his beautiful, brand new 1969 GTO, which is really a Le Mans. It's not a GTO, but he called it a GTO. And he drove it like he thought it was a GTO. But I mean, everything was about the car. You get in, no smoking, no this, no that. Now, look, I'm a car guy. I love my cars. But this guy was fanatical, right? So we're driving down North Street, leaving Harrison, going towards White Plains, and it's Halloween night. Bang! Side of the car gets hit with an egg. GTO Boy comes to a screeching halt. We all look around. GTO Boy spots the culprits, gets out of his GTO, Le Mans, and gets pelted with at least 12.5 eggs. It sounded like a drum solo, one of mine. All over his car, and this and that, and then he has to get back in the car, and the eggs dripping off of him, and, of course, hey, watch out! You gotta do that shit. So, anyway, GTO Boy tells us that Alan is the head engineer at Warner Brothers, and Alan says, I'm going to arrange a recording session for you guys. So I'm thinking, just like the lyrics in the song. Go get an electric guitar, take some time to learn how to play. So we set this thing up. Alan's going to have us come down Friday night. Right? We're going to record for the weekend. Because it's a lockout. Now, I don't know anything about anything. I just know that we have to be there. We bring the drums. We do this. We do that. And Alan said, we're there. We get there early because we're excited. Alan comes down and says, you got to wait. You have to wait. Can't come in yet. And so we wait. And the building closes. All the people leave. The one guard is there. And Alan tells him good night. He's staying late to do some mixes. We're being snuck into Warner Brothers to record on the DL. Uh-oh. So now, our truck pulls up in front of the Brill building. Do I need to go to the Brill building again? Probably. Let me just give you a little background. So we pull up to the front of the Brill building, this gleaming Gotham, just center of songwriting mecca. And we start loading our crap in, rolling it down that beautiful hallway in that lobby that you saw, and just making all kinds of noise and slamming them in. There's Carol. Slamming them into the elevators and going up to Alan's floor, and we unload all the stuff and realize that we really not supposed to be in this building. This is the Brill building, and it's now locked up. We can't get out until Monday. Well, no problem, except we didn't think to bring any food, and we hadn't written any songs. But outside of that, we were ready to be rock stars. Professional, successful rock musicians. So Alan mics everything up. GTO boy's gone now, so he mics everything up and blah, 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 and there's the Brill building. You want the Rat Race Squire truck pulling up in front of that. So, so he says, well, what do you guys want to record? And we said, okay. And I think I told you part of this story where Dave and I all of a sudden disappeared into one of the offices of the record executives and wrote a song real quick. We wrote a song called Dinosaurs and Ugly Monsters. And I actually have a copy of that song. I have the instrumental version. I don't have Chris Beck's vocals, but Don and Al ought to find this one interesting. This was our very first recording, very first song we ever wrote. Dinosaurs and ugly monsters trying to get through my door. Dinosaurs and ugly monsters scream for my blood once more. I can feel my mind is dying. I can hear the creatures cry. Ain't no use in even trying to raise my body from the floor. Try it out. Uh-oh. That's old days stuff, so we probably just stopped right in the middle. But that was really...
Shar says great instrumental. Remy,
wait, now here we go. Now, yeah, but it wasn't meant to be an instrumental. Like, I don't want to go there, but here I got to catch up with you guys because you've been it's been
yes, thanks, Shar.
Big night, and I appreciate you all.
Thanks, Shar.
So I'm just setting it up. Here's some music for you.
That's Angus's music.
That's Angus's music.
Angus is not here.
Yeah, I know sometime I'll find an acetate of that song because I have it. I have the first recordings we ever made, which is why Angus and I were talking about on Monday we were doing the history of recorded media and how it went from acetates to lacquers to whatever. But I listen. I hope you enjoyed the throwback. It's what we're going to do on Thursdays for the summer. There's a lot more crazier stuff than that, and now that I know how to load it all in and load it all up, because that show would have gone on for another 30 minutes, and dinner would be perished for sure.
For sure.
So on that happy note, kids, tomorrow is one of your favorite days of the week.
Free for all Friday.
Free for all Friday. I feel like we should have a horn. Wait a minute. Do I have a horn? I have this. I have.
Well, Sue said it was excellent. Michael said fun show.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Okay, so.
Oh, pizza's here. Okay, so that's it, guys. If I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.
Good night, everybody.